So earlier, someone commented because I had done a video where I addressed the fact and I recognized the fact that some people left Dying Light 2 because of the cartoonish and unsatisfying combat of that game. They just left it because, well, arguably on top of all the problems with Dying Light 2 at the time, the combat was just unforgivable. The story sucked. The tedious grinding of your equipment and like like med kits, flares, bombs, uh, decoys, all of that. Like it's upgrading it 9 times. The combat was unsatisfying. You couldn't get comfortable with your weapons because they were just going to break on you anyway due to the repair system. But the combat just made it extra unbearable. And somebody said, well, like they made a case that they felt like Dead Island 2 is like that's not this is not a fair argument because Dead Island 2 it's a subpar game and there's not much to it. You're right. You know why? Because Dam Busters was smart enough to know that less is more. Less is more. I go to my inventory. I have this weapon, this weapon, this weapon, this weapon, and I can raise them up to my, like, okay, we'll go in here. If I wanted to use this legendary weapon that Sam B gave me because I finished the story, I could go here to the workbench, and if I had the money, I could raise it up to my level, but I can't because I'm broke. See that? I can keep whatever weapons I really love. I can upgrade them. I can I can modify them and I can keep them. And they can always be raised to my level if I choose. Granted, if I have the money. But it doesn't take much to make money in this game. It's not a tedious grind. But probably the best part of this game is that unlike Dying Light 2, this game does not focus on massive open worlds and complicated parkour systems. It's zombies and combat. Zombies and combat. Less is more. So, like, when I kill that zombie, you can feel the weight of all my blows. You can see You could see the trauma all the time. Not sometimes, all the time. There's no spaghetti spraying going on in this game. Spaghetti sauce is what I call it. Like a bunch of weird blood spray. Like, yeah, like they upgraded Dying Light 2's gore system to where it looks more gory, but they still got that stupid tomato sauce stuff. Okay, but let's see here. That's tremendous. Like, that is a tremendous difference. Okay, this game focused solely on combat. It wants you to see the damage you're inflicting. It wants you to feel the damage through your controller. When you're blocking, it wants you to feel you blocking. It is slower. It's a lot slower. Yeah, it's slow. I don't have any nifty grappling hook tricks. It's just me on the street with a bunch of nasty zombies. And I'm just decimating them. Oh my gosh. You could okay, so let's take the hammer. Let's equip the hammer real quick. Okay. Hammers in Dying Light 2, even big ones, they sound like aluminum bats, and they oftentimes just bounce off of one or two enemies. This is a sledgehammer. Like sledgehammers in this game, that is exquisite. Your drop kick is just as powerful, if not even more powerful. Did you see that? Just that moment right there? Did you, like, it was a slow-mo, but you see how my hammer just at the last minute sweeps that other zombie, catches him in my sweeping animation. Okay. It's that slow, the slow attention to detail. Okay. Now, why am I bringing this up? Okay. So, Dying Light 2 is an open world exploration game, and you can tell because of the exquisite attention to parkour in that game. But when it comes to the combat, it's just okay. Dying Light 2 is a game about parkour. It's obviously about parkour. Dead Island 2 is about zombies and you with a sledgehammer. And the devs paid meticulous attention to every single weapon in this game, how it should feel, how the damage should look. Each one has its own finishing animations. Some of them are repeated, but they all have their own finishing animations. It feels different. It's slow and methodical. It's delicious in its carnage. Dying Light 2 is just a really cool parkour game with some zombies in it, and it's got serviceable combat. There is no if, ands, or buts. Now, that individual said that he felt like Dead Island 1 was the better game. Again, no offense to him, but Dying Light 1 was full of a lot of, there was driving in it, you're right, but that was part of the padding. Okay? It was part of the padding of the game to drag it out. Yeah, you could run over zombies. You're right. There was a shit ton of escort missions. I don't know of a whole lot of people that ever look forward to escorting the shaman through the jungle unless you had a plan. If you didn't have a plan, it was an absolute slog. And that is not the only incidence of the game putting you in a slog and reminding you should be in co-op. This game does not punish you for not being in co-op like the original game did. Uh, this game doesn't punish you for much of anything. This game just wants you to have a good time. It doesn't want you to upgrade. Like, we have what they classify as curveballs. How many times does the game demand that you upgrade your curveballs? It doesn't. Okay. This game wants you to be here for a fun time. It gives you fun stuff to have a fun time with. It only has one objective. We're going to give you a cool weapon, and we want you to go out and kill zombies. It's a zombie game. That is what Dead Island 2 is. Okay, it is the perfect successor to Dead Island 1. Dead Island 1 was a zombie game, but it wasn't as great in its execution. Because it had a bad habit of punishing the players for being in solo. Like, anytime you ever did an escort mission in Dead Island, it was It could go really well, but a lot of times it would go absolutely haywire. And the reason why is because the game's reminding you should be in co-op. Why aren't you in co-op? This would be easier if you were in co-op. Why are you not in co-op? Why are you playing this game solo? Like the game had a bad habit of reminding you of that, right? It expected you to have at least 2 to 3 players with you. Some people be like, I didn't have no trouble. I didn't have a lot of trouble either. You're right. Because I learned the game. I would like actual proof of somebody on a PlayStation 3 putting Dead Island into their console for the first time, making it from beginning to end with zero trouble at all without a co-op partner. You can't do that because that's not true. That's fantasy. The game was obviously designed for co-op. So you had to learn how to avoid those side missions. This game doesn't punish you for not being co-op. It doesn't. So, yeah. But this game is it's an absolute gem in the zombie genre. Now, some people won't appreciate that now. I would give it probably about 5 years, and then people will be like, yeah, this game's a tour de force. This is a really great game. Everybody appreciates something later on, right? But in terms of this game compared to Dying Light 2, yeah, this game is far more visceral in the way it presents combat between you and the undead, making it the superior zombie game. Dead Island, Dying Light 2, again, is an adventure game, an action adventure game with some zombies in it. It's not a zombie game. And it emphasizes parkour so much that it forgot about the combat. When you're swinging a hammer like this, and it sounds like an aluminum bat and it's just bouncing off of shamblers and stuff. Yeah. Or my personal favorite, when you're using Molotovs against Herman and Barney in boss fights like that, and they are boss fights, especially in Game Plus mode, and you're burning them alive, and then in the very next cutscene, like they're standing there acting like you just didn't burn them alive. Combat, it's more like an afterthought in the game. Yeah, there's mods for your weapons, sure, and they look super flashy, and they deal aggravated damage, but you don't see, like, when it matters, you don't really see the impact. You just don't. When Barney is shrugging off being shredded by a bladed weapon, and Barney in the cutscene is just looking like you two duked it out, fisticuff style, or Herman literally ends up in a cutscene, it undermines the combat. It undermines it for the sake of a story that's just not that good. It'd be like, well, Dead Island 2 story's not that great either. Actually, it is. Because Dead Island's 2 story leaves more questions than answers. Dying Light 2 tries to answer a lot of questions, and in doing so, it comes off really cheap and incoherent, disjointed at times, like it doesn't make sense. How many times did Aiden face off with Waltz? And he had every opportunity to tell Aiden the truth. Go back and pay attention to those interactions. Did that make sense? No, it didn't. No, it didn't. Because Dying Light 2 was trying to drop some kind of truth bomb on Aiden at the end, but there was a truth bomb that was meant to be dropped at every turn. Now, Dead Island 2 story is shrouded in mystery. There are riddles put to the player. Lola is not obligated to tell you everything. She hints at it. Okay. She didn't know you since she was a kid. She don't know you. Now, if you're playing as Tisha, maybe Lola would be more she, like, she probably say more about it. But she don't know you. She's not obligated. She is putting you through a trial. She wants you to come out the other side a changed and better person. So she's putting you through some kind of test. Okay. Waltz isn't putting Aiden through no test. He's like it's just terrible story writing. There's no test there. Okay. There's no test. Aiden's not going through a test. You, as the Slayer, are going through a test. But yeah, the combat in this game is superior. Now, you may still like the combat of Dying Light 2, but that's just because it's a tacked on mechanic to a parkour system you're already in love with. If there was no parkour in Dying Light 2 and you were just stuck with that combat, no, no, my honeys, you wouldn't be sitting here trying to stick up for the combat system in Dying Light 2. You wouldn't be. No, if you had zero parkour to look forward to in Dying Light 2, and you just simply judged this game compared to Dying Light 2, combat to combat, no parkour, it'd be a different story. And you know it would be. You know it would be. Yeah, you know, because there no paraglider, no grappling hooks, no cool, fancy, freaking parkour stuff, just combat to combat. It would not be the same. Okay. When you're swinging a sledgehammer and it sounds like an aluminum bat and it's barely like it's kind of bouncing off of like enemies that are just a bag of bones. No, 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 honey. No, 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 no. Just never. It's never going to be a yes. Y'all just stop. It's it's just a no. It's a big fat no. Anyway, that's all I got for now, my honeys. You have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, and I will catch you on the flip side. You know I will.